Welcome. My name is Dr. Laurie Bruce. I'm a clinical psychologist and mindfulness coach, and this is From Both Sides of the Couch. In this podcast, I will be sharing with you ideas, strategies, and nuggets of wisdom from my 25 years of experience as a therapist and as a client in my own therapy. I am passionate about helping the helpers, those of us who are caregivers, either by profession or in our personal lives. Join me as we explore topics such as building resilience, self-care and self-acceptance, reducing stress, anxiety, and guilt, and how to live the happiest and most fulfilling life possible. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of From Both Sides of the Couch. I'm Dr. Laurie Bruce, a clinical psychologist and mindfulness coach. Some of you may be brand new to me and my work, and some of you may be familiar with my previous podcast, Inner Healing Intelligence. Over the last year, I have undergone some major transitions in my life that I honestly was not anticipating. I ended up taking a several-month break to focus on my own healing and to focus on rediscovering who I am in this new phase of my life. The decision to take a medical leave was by no means an easy one. I felt horrendously guilty. I was worried about my clients, and honestly, I just kept beating myself up with thoughts that if I were stronger or more capable or just better somehow, that I would not need to take this time off. But thankfully, I was able to reassure myself that I truly had no other choice but to take this time for me. Because I was fortunate to be able to take off several weeks from work and to prioritize my mental health, I was able to return to my job as a therapist feeling more grounded and more centered, and once again, more confident in helping others. I'm certain that if I had not been given this time for myself, I would not have been able to provide safe and effective treatment. And I know that I am not alone in my struggles to prioritize my own health and well-being. As I started feeling more and more ready to return to podcasting, I realized that this was the very topic I needed to share with others. I know personally how hard it is to tell the world to just please stop. I need to get off for a minute so I can catch my breath. We have obligations and responsibilities. Some of them are very real, and honestly, some of them are just imagined, or at the very least, some of our responsibilities are self-imposed or not nearly as pressing in importance as we imagine them to be. It's actually a bit humbling to know that the world will continue to spin just the same, whether you have jumped off of it for a minute or not. Moving forward, I will be focusing my podcast on this topic of self-care and prioritizing our own health and well-being in order to be the best caregivers that we can be. I'll be sharing things that I have learned over the years, not just as a therapist, but also as a client in my own therapy. Many of you listening are probably not therapists or healthcare professionals, but you probably are still a caregiver of some sort. Maybe you're a mom taking care of your kids, or maybe you have a mom who you're taking care of in their senior years, or maybe you're even doing both at the same time. Caregivers need support too. Without proper and consistent self-care, we helpers and healers run the risk of feeling burned out, exhausted, and depleted. From both sides of the couch means that I want to talk and teach as a psychologist, but also I want to talk as a client. From both sides of the couch means that I want to talk and teach as a psychologist, but I also want to talk as a client. As a real person who has ups and downs and challenges and traumas just like everyone else, I do believe there is a way to be authentic and vulnerable with others in a way that is actually helpful and not at another person's expense. I'm excited to share the research on topics such as building resilience, reducing burnout and compassion fatigue, the difference between codependence versus interdependence, and things that build our self-worth and self-esteem and things that destroy it. I want to talk about self-compassion and the importance of authenticity and vulnerability in relationships. I'm currently lining up guests to interview on all of these topics and much more. However, I would love to hear from you. What topics would you most like to learn about? Are you a caregiver to someone and find yourself at times feeling depleted and not sure where to begin? What do you think would be most helpful for you to hear? Send me a message on my website, drlauriebruce.com, or send me an email at drlaurie@drlauriebruce.com. That's DRLAURIE at drlauriebruce.com. For today, let's explore 3 reasons why making our own health and well-being can be so difficult for many of us. First, our core beliefs are a major contributor to our challenges with prioritizing ourselves. A core belief is a thought that we have at a very deep level. Oftentimes, we aren't even aware of some of our core beliefs. A core belief is a little bit different than just a regular thought. Think of our thoughts as the little sentences that run through our heads all day long. We have literally tens of thousands of thoughts that run through our minds each and every day. Many of these thoughts are automatic. They happen on their own, and many of them are even outside of our awareness. Our core beliefs are a little bit different. Think of a core belief as a lens or viewpoint about how you see yourself, others, or the world. Our experiences in our childhood contribute to our core beliefs as an adult. So, for example, if as a child you had a lot of praise about your musical abilities, you might develop a core belief of, I am musically talented, or my talent makes me special or unique, or even my musical abilities make me important and valuable. On the other hand, if we experienced painful events in our childhood, such as verbal or physical abuse, we might develop core beliefs about feeling unworthy, undeserving, or unlovable. Any experience can contribute to a core belief, and part of cognitive behavioral therapy is to learn how to better understand our core beliefs and other types of thoughts in order to make changes in our lives. Think about your core beliefs as it relates to self-care. Maybe you have a core belief that your needs are not as important as other people's needs. Or maybe you have been told that it is selfish to think of yourself and being selfish is a terrible thing. Notice how these core beliefs would make it very, very difficult for you to engage in behaviors that violate these beliefs. If I believe that self-care makes me a bad person, then of course I'm going to avoid taking good care of myself. The challenge is that oftentimes these core beliefs are so deep and so outside of our awareness that it takes time and work, either on your own or with a really good therapist, to help you make changes to your core beliefs. It starts with awareness. We cannot change what we are not aware of. If you have core beliefs that are interfering with your ability to engage in self-care, take some time to journal about what those beliefs are and how you may have developed them. I try to practice and to teach to my clients how to just notice thoughts as they come and respond to our thoughts with compassion, or at the very least, to try to respond to thoughts without getting too attached to them. Don't believe every thought you have. Many of our thoughts are not true, they just feel true. Starting to separate yourself from your thoughts and just notice thoughts as thoughts rather than facts is the first step towards changing how you think and feel about your self-worth. In time, you will get more and more skillful at noticing and letting go of negative thoughts, and even at replacing them with more positive, compassionate, and loving thoughts and core beliefs. A second reason why we have difficulty with self-care is our lack of skills. I work with so many individuals who tell me, I have put everyone else's needs ahead of my own for so long, I don't even know how to take care of myself anymore. If this sounds like you, then congratulations, you just accomplished step 1, which is awareness. There are so many ways that we can engage in self-care, but what is self-care for you may not be self-care for me. Things that I routinely do to practice self-care includes taking hot baths, using hair and facial masks, getting a massage, that's my favorite of all, talking and connecting with friends and family, journaling, reading, and spending time in nature. Those suggestions might work for you, but they also might not. Your challenge is to just start practicing things in order to find out what is soothing and nurturing. Maybe going for hikes is your thing, or maybe you discover that you love puzzles or cooking or sewing or riding a bike. Anything can be self-care if it is something that brings you peace or joy and just makes you feel better as a result of having done it. Just remember that self-care is both short-term and long-term. If having some chocolate is your self-care, which is definitely one of mine, then make sure that it is still in alignment with your long-term goals of being healthy. There are many activities like shopping or eating or video games and other forms of media that can feel good in the short run, but in excess can make you feel worse. All things in moderation. If you have difficulty thinking of things, then ask your friends, what did they do to take care of themselves? Give yourself some space to practice and to learn. Lastly, things in our environment can also make it more difficult to engage in self-care. If you have people around you who do not support you in taking care of yourself, and if you combine that with core beliefs about not deserving self-care, then we have a recipe for self-sacrifice and burnout. Notice who in your life in some ways discourages you from taking care of yourself. Do you have a partner who is perfectly comfortable with you sacrificing your own needs for them? Maybe your workplace does not value work-life balance and has expectations and demands that make self-care nearly impossible. Think about the factors outside of your own personal factors that make it difficult. It does not mean that if you have these outside factors that you're trapped or stuck. It just means that we can't change what we aren't aware of. So by noticing who or what in your life is making self-care more difficult, it can motivate you to have some difficult conversations, maybe to practice more assertiveness, or just in general to guide you about what changes you need to make and how. It's also not uncommon for us to have all 3 of these issues at the same time. We can have core beliefs such as, I am selfish and a bad person if I prioritize myself, and that makes it hard to even identify how we would take care of ourselves even if we believed that we should. And we also might have people in our lives who reinforce our core beliefs by telling us outright that we should prioritize them over ourselves. If you see yourself in that, please know that you can always change. These are what I would call challenges, but they're not full-blown obstacles or things that would prevent you from learning how to take care of yourself. We are never stuck or trapped. We can always change and grow, and it starts with awareness. I'll leave you today with a few mantras for you to repeat to yourself, just in case you, like me, need to hear this today. I am enough. I am worthy just exactly as I am. I do not need to do anything or change anything or achieve anything in order to be important or valuable. I was born worthy and I will die worthy, and nothing I do in between can change my worth or my value. I am allowed to be imperfect and to make mistakes as I go. I am always doing the very best that I can at every moment. I can forgive myself when I make mistakes and see them as opportunities to learn and grow. I am lovable. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.